Are you a lifelong fan of General Hospital?
Are you a new fan who wants to know more about the history of the show?
Do you enjoy talking about the show with others?
Do you find yourself yelling at the TV?
Is your self-care an hour a day in Port Charles?
If so, we invite you to join hosts
Amanda Kimmel
and Shannon Coach at the place where all the hidden conversations take place and secrets are revealed.
Meet us at Pier 54,
a General Hospital fan podcast.
Hi! Welcome to the Port Charles 411. Today we're talking with Jenn Bishop. She has her own General Hospital blog and she runs a Twitter account. So her blog is Diagnosis Daytime, and it also has a Twitter account. But then also on Twitter, she is Soap Jenn.
It's so cute. I like that.
She is. She's a lot of fun. So we've been kind of watching her for a little while, and we just wanted to talk to her. So we hope that you enjoy our conversation.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, you're welcome. Thanks for asking me.
I'm Shannon.
I'm Amanda.
Hi.
And we like to keep things conversational and, just talk about GH. And, if you have any fun stories about, if you've met anyone. I know you have like a really big background in like the online, you run your own website and things like that. So you might have a little bit different information, I guess, than what we usually talk about. So,
okay.
Yeah, so do you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Well, I've been watching soaps for probably a long time. I think like most of us, where I kind of started as a kid watching it with my grandmother and my grandfather, who claimed he didn't watch soaps, during the summers, we're very into the CBS soaps. So watching YR and, they watched Bold and the Beautiful only when Sheila was on, because she was part of YR, so they kind of crossed over with her. But, I remember like the stories were like, Cricket's rape, and then like with Drew and Cricket and Danny and like all the shenanigans they used to get into, and Nina and the whole thing with David with the killer forehead and all that. So I remembered all those wild shows back then. And then myself, then my mom was watching Days, and so I started watching Days with her and my sister. And then, soaps, they used to have that long block of hours, and so then you'd watch one soap, and then you'd start watching the one after it. So then we picked up Another World, and then we picked up Santa Barbara, and so spent many hours each day watching soap operas. And then when I went to, or in high school, then I had gotten into One Life to Live. A friend of mine watched it and stuff, and I really liked, I know the character Todd Manning's a really bad dude, but I was really kind of fascinated with the story of like the Manning era and stuff. I started watching after the whole Marty stuff kind of. So I started when Todd and Blair were really starting up as a couple, and I really liked them. They had great chemistry, and there was kind of that fun, like, two losers kind of making it big story there. And I really liked Vicky, and her multiple personalities and stuff. So I would say that was probably like my favorite soap. And then, from there, in college, my roommate watched General Hospital, so I picked that up there. So I've kind of watched almost, like, I have kind of a pretty rounded background there with soaps. So, But I did kind of get out of soaps a little while, I think, like a lot of people do when they get busy and stuff. And then I picked it up like right before One Life to Live went off the air. And I started chatting with people online and stuff. And it was really kind of cool to get everybody's perspectives, and you meet people that like the same things you do and stuff. And it was a lot of fun. And then I was like, I like writing, so I'm going to start a blog and start writing about it. And then it just kind of went from there. So right now I'm watching General Hospital, and I do watch Bold and the Beautiful during my lunch breaks because it's on and I'm home working from home now. I'm really glad that Frank decided not to make his employees make out with dolls.
Yeah. Camera angles can do wonders, you don't.
Yes. So, I think with General Hospital, it's definitely not perfect, and there's a lot of stuff that I think they need to do work on. But I do think having kind of that break in there I mean, it's too bad that the shows had to take that break. But I think that helped General Hospital because, the writers we have now, they're fairly new to head writing. They're kind of green. They've been writing soaps forever, of course, but as far as being in charge and stuff. And I think, giving a little bit of a break for them to kind of pause a bit and look at some stuff helps. Because there is definitely a shift from after the nurses' ball. There was definitely a noticeable shift with where some of these stories were going and where some of the focus was. So I think it did them really good to do that.
We agree. We were saying the same thing, especially about Lulu. It's almost like, it's like anything else. When you're so caught up in the moment and doing the thing, you can forget what you're doing, really. It's like second nature. But then, they were forced to pause. And it was like, okay, what are we doing here? Just a shame that they decided Lulu had to leave because they were doing such a good job of writing her like the spunky Spencer that we knew her to be.
Oh, I loved her when they came back. I feel like she was kind of stepping into Laura's role for a bit there because Jeannie Francis didn't come back right away.
Right.
A lot of the actors, people don't realize that a lot of these actors that didn't start working back right away, it was their choice, which I totally respect because myself, just like my day job, if my boss asked me if I wanted to come in, I'd be like, no. So I get it. And so a lot of the story they'd already written and stuff because they were still working off old scripts for about a month or two afterwards. A lot of that stuff they had planned for Laura, they kind of moved over to Lulu, and she was great doing it. I mean, it really worked because she does have that very Laura Weber, vibe about her and stuff. I think that Em Ryland's very good at fitting into that role of Laura Weber's daughter. Not so much Luke Spencer's daughter, but very much Laura's daughter. So I think she just, the virus and stuff has been hard, and I think she just kind of was unlucky enough to have her, and I'm speculating, of course, which is, you got to be careful with, but I think she was just unlucky enough that her contract landed on a certain time.
Right.
And they did leave it open for her return, which I definitely think we are going to see her again. So it's a bummer for fans and stuff, but I don't think it's a hopeless situation for anybody either. So it's definitely not like with Julian where he's dead,
Right.
And that took a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was... I don't know what they were trying to do there. I mean, a lot of people have the impression that it kind of seemed a bit like they were insulting. Well, I don't know if that was the case, or if they just thought, hey, we have this opportunity to kill someone dead, and so let's go a little wild with it. But that went on a long time, and I think just with the real world and stuff like that being as dark as it is right now, that seeing somebody have very long, slow, painful death.
Mm-hmm.
Or months was a bit unpleasant. So,
yeah.
But.
Well, and William DeVry kept saying on Twitter that, no, if he's gone, he is gone. It's not, I guess he wasn't going to let Julian just ride off into the sunset. And then what if, at least that was the impression that I was getting from his tweets, was that he's like, oh no, you guys will have an answer. Don't worry. you know?
Well, and he did do an exit interview with Nellie Bracco. And in that he did pretty much just say that he agreed with fans that it was kind of dark and stuff. But I don't think he felt dissatisfied with the ending, and stuff like that. He's been, I don't think any of he's been on every soap opera, and I don't think any of his characters have survived. For him, it was probably just oh, we're doing this again, But I do feel like he really, really loved the role that he was. I think that Julian was probably his favorite character. I mean, you could tell he just loved playing that role. So it was definitely a bittersweet thing for him, I'm sure.
I don't know how you feel. Do you feel like they just didn't know what to do with him sometimes? So it's we got this, when he got the bar, that was it. Nothing really was going on. Yeah, he had his little love interest with Kim Nero, but then that really didn't go anywhere. It didn't go where it could have,
Yeah, I think there were some mistakes made, unfortunately, with writing, and I, there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, so I don't think there's really one person to blame, obviously. But it kind of started when they did the whole knife to the throat thing with Alexis. I mean, that was pretty bad. But I would argue that wasn't so much the part that killed the character so much as the fact that when they tried to clean it up, they made it worse because they brought in his sister and stuff like that, and well, that story was really wacky and entertaining. I was like, so basically you're saying that this man who is this strong mobster dude tried to kill the woman he loves because his sister made him do it. It's like, no, he would have shot Olivia. He wouldn't have done that,
Right.
So it was a little unbelievable, and it got a little too over the top, and it didn't really explain it away. And I think, what the audience saw is they saw him fantasizing about trying to kill Alexis and stuff. And I think it got into a touchy subject where you don't really want, Alexis is messed up and she makes really bad romantic choices, but that's kind of a line where she's not the type to kind of go back to an abuser.
Right.
And so I think what they needed to do is maybe it would have been really tricky, but I think they needed to kind of explain that maybe he had some sort of a breakdown or something, and maybe do some sort of therapy thing and stuff like that. And so, that would have kind of built his character. And they didn't necessarily need to get Alexis and Julian back together again ever. But I think when they did pair him with Kim, the idea was kind of to have this outside party come in that didn't have that, bias against the character because she wasn't there when all that happened. So Kim didn't have to be like, yeah, you tried to kill your wife, because she doesn't know about it. And so I think in theory that was a good idea. And I think that, the actors liked each other and worked well together. But they brought Kim in to pair with Drew. And so I think that they kind of just, kept it in a holding spot the whole time, thinking, oh, we're going to eventually pair her with Drew. And then that never happened.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like you go back and it's like what it could have, should have. Can't really do anything about it now. Because I think if they weren't kind of stuck in that idea, and they drugged that Oscar story, which I hated.
Yeah.
On so way too long past. So if they would have kind of hopped into a romance there and stuff like that as their story and invested in that more, I think it could have gone a much better direction for him. But then, Kim's gone, Alexis and him can't get back together again. And I was like, what do you do with them? And, they brought him into a corner really with the whole baby switch thing, because then it was like, he can't get out of that without like everybody hating him, It's like his wife doesn't want him back, his girlfriend's left him, his kids aren't going to want to be around him, he has no friends, who's he going to interact with,
Right.
So I think it just kind of ended up snowballing to the point where it's like, what can we do with him anymore, But yeah, I think he's going to do well in Canada and stuff like that, and do a lot of Hallmark movies, and he always did well outside his soaps. So I think people will see him again. So his fans will have plenty of chances to see him.
He's so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been watching GH then for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have an all-time favorite storyline?
With GH it's a little bit hard to say, because I feel like I don't know if I have an all-time favorite with them so much as I kind of have favorite like characters and couples and stuff like that. I did really like, when they did the whole thing where they confronted Luke's rape of Laura in the 90s. And I might have felt differently if I'd watched it like way back when that story originally happened and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought they actually did a really good job with that, because it is kind of a, those type of stories are stuff that usually just happens in soaps. And so to kind of go back and like, they had to kind of go back and address the fact that, hey, we wrote this woman fell in love with a rapist and stuff like that. We've been ignoring it for all these years. And I thought they did a really good job with, having what happened to Liz kind of bring all those feelings up and stuff like that. And, having Lucky deal with it and stuff. Because I remember there was a scene, I think, that Lucky didn't like Nick. The long lost brothers didn't get along right away, and had basically told Nick that, hey, your dad's a rapist and raped my mother. And Nick said, no, it was your dad that did that.
Yep.
And so just to have kind of this kid all of a sudden realize that this fairy tale romance was kind of built on a pretty disturbing thing. He thought his parents loved each other and stuff like that, and to learn that this is how they started out. And so I think for the audience kind of went through that with Lucky, and it was very well done. I'm not sure if I would say, I don't know if it's one of those stories that, I would say brought me joy or something like that, but I just, it was something that was very thought-provoking, and the actors did a really good job with.
Well, and I think because we talk about it pretty frequent, not like we talk about it all the time, but we have talked about it. And I think they said, it went for 20 minutes straight, and they didn't even cut to commercial break where Luke was telling Lucky, so like it was one of those moments,
Mm-hmm.
that they made it real. They didn't make it soapy,
Right.
it was,
Yeah.
So that's.
Mm-hmm. Well, she is just kind of the Madonna of soaps in a way, where it's constantly revamping itself through the years, getting a new style to it. And so in the 90s, GH was kind of really started to get kind of dark and more realistic, I guess. They still did some far out over the top stuff, but during the 80s, they had a lot of those big adventures where people were going after Aztecs, stolen jewelry, and the people trying to freeze the world and stuff like that. And in the 90s, it was a lot more grounded. And I think soaps in general were too, but they got some really good social issue stories out of that. Like even that one with Stone and Robin and AIDS and stuff.
Yep.
And I feel like right now that it might be a little too heavy for 2021 after we've survived 2020. But when they try to do those social issues now, they don't quite always work. And I don't know if it's just because we've outgrown them, or if I do think that there's are writing the issues when they write them, because I feel like they try not to offend at the same time they're writing these really controversial stories, like with the Aiden bullying story. Obviously they were going to go to the point like whether he was gay or transgender, and kind of some identity issues with the kid, and that did create some controversy. And I was disappointed that they just dropped it like they did, because they could have very well just stuck to the fact that this kid's being bullied and we need to address it. In the end, what they did was the message was that Charlotte was okay. She just needed someone to take her out for ice cream.
Right.
And she got an award. And you're like, that's a horrible message. You could have at least said that, hey, Charlotte was wrong for doing this, and this is how you deal with a kid that bullies people. You didn't need to say it was okay all of a sudden,
Right.
But,
or that it's okay that a little boy wants to bake and not play sports,
Yeah.
It's, there's a lot of ways that they could have handled that differently. Yeah.
Yes. And it's too bad, because I think that the actors were putting in some really great work with it and stuff like that, and then just to kind of have all that for naught.
Yeah.
So, and the actor that plays Aiden is really adorable. I hope we get to see him again soon. I'm sure he'll probably be much more grown up than we saw him last time, but so it's been like a year, hasn't it? Maybe.
He went to Ireland for Christmas with Lucky, so we didn't see him at all last year, I don't think.
Yeah. So, and I know the actor did some other shows and stuff like that at the time, but I'm assuming he probably hasn't been doing much now since everybody's locked down, but
yeah,
it would be nice if we could kind of see him in the future and stuff like that, if it works out for him, of course. But I think that the cool thing with Liz's kids is that they're all very developed kids, because a lot of the soap kids, they're doing this thing with adopting Leo. I have no idea who Leo is. We don't know what his personality is. We don't know if he likes trucks or penguins or what, but I think they've done a really good job with the Weber boys, where, we know Jake's into art and that he likes sharks and that he likes to ice skate and, all this stuff about them. And I think that's kind of cool, because you don't see that a lot in soaps.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely right. Yeah, because even, I mean, Danny and Scout, we don't really have any idea of like their real personalities.
I think Scout's just hanging out in the attic right now.
Well, we talked to her. When was it? It was probably about a year ago that we talked to Ella Ramaseri, and she is adorable. We talked to her mom too. But yeah, I think that the last time we saw her was also Christmas of 2019, because remember, that's when Jason came home and they were hanging their stockings.
Oh, yeah.
That might have been also.
What do you think about Jason breaking up?
I have no idea. It's kind of like what you were talking about, that when they brought them back together, they just didn't do anything. Like, it was just, oh yeah, they're back together, we're good.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I think the breakup was needed just because they've been written so poorly the last few years. I mean, everybody gets bad stories, but it was just kind of like the characters themselves together were not written very well. And so, and this could be like, you know, sometimes you have to split characters up so they can kind of grow in a different direction so they can bring them back together again. And so that might be what they're trying to do here. I don't know, but they weren't very fun to watch the last few years. And I do feel bad for their fans who were kind of expecting to get their couple back when Steve returned and stuff like that, because it just never really happened. Like, they were in this state of together but not being really together and stuff. So, I mean, they were marketing them as a couple, but I'm like, they're not really even officially dating or anything. They just kind of sat there for a year and stuff. So, but it'll be interesting to see like how it goes with the new pairings. I think that Britt and Jason is probably going to be gain some popularity. I think that those
I kind of like it.
Yeah, you know, Kelly Fedvard, I'm probably saying her name wrong, but she is extremely likable. And I think there's a lot of people that are very happy that she's back on General Hospital. And so I think it's kind of cool that I'm not a big Jason fan per se. You know, I just think he's kind of boring and did grow from my taste. But I'm excited that she's getting a story out of this, because I'm really looking forward to see what they do with Britt. Especially she's got a lot of drama with her brother Peter, and with her mom, and with the hospital stuff, and Cyrus and everything. So I'm hoping there's some really interesting story out of that. I think Dante and Sam are going to be a bit of a harder sell.
Yeah. You think that they're trying to bring them together?
I know they are.
Oh.
Yeah, I just don't like it because they are supposed to be kind of sort of related. They share Leo in common.
That's exactly what the problem is they started them out. I mean, what they needed to do is, I know it's cliche, but, you know, trap them in an elevator, make them accidentally check into the same cabin and get snowed in, or something like that. You know, something where you get them together, where it's, you know, kind of a, you know, high stakes situation or an emotional situation. See if you can get those sparks flying. But they started them out instead of, oh, hey, did you know we share a brother?
Right.
You know, I think a lot of people have forgotten that they shared a brother, so they didn't really need to address that right away. And I think that's just kind of an awkward way to start things if you want to start telling people that there's a possibility of a romance down the road.
Right.
So,
because they were paired together when they did that flashback, the what if scenario,
Sunny,
like years ago, and they were good there as those characters that were together, but not
now. What are they going to do? Their first date's going to be.
We don't read spoilers, so we didn't know if that was for sure. Oh, I was not even picking up on that.
I don't like that.
But, I mean, I think that might be where they got the idea from, and I do think that, you know, if I think Em Ryland, you know, I don't think that they planned on her leaving right away, and so I think that was kind of a short notice thing. And they're like, okay, Dante's single, and we're going to have Sam single here in a bit, and they were cute in that episode and stuff. And so I kind of get where they came up with the idea, but I think that they're setting that up in a very wrong way. So we'll see what happens.
I don't like that. I would like him to end up with Maxie.
That's who I was just thinking. I'm like, after this past week.
After everything happens with Peter, that she finds out he can, you know, help her raise her kids. And That'd be a good relationship. And that would be drama if they do bring Lulu back, because that was my best friend. What's
Exactly.
going on?
Yeah, I think that would be a more natural way to take things too, because I feel like they're kind of having, I mean, Sam and Dante have known each other forever and stuff, but they haven't really had much of a relationship, so they kind of have to, like, the way they're building them now, it's like, okay, you guys are kind of sort of not really related,
Right.
but you have no idea who each other are and don't really know each other, and so I think it's a little awkward to maneuver, whereas Dante and Maxie, I mean, Nathan, Dante, Maxie, and Lulu used to hang out together all the time.
Right.
And so I think it's a little bit more natural to think like, okay, they're going to be spending time with each other now. They kind of already have their blended families and stuff like that, just from their friendships and that quad and stuff. And so it'd probably be easy to move it in that direction. But I kind of feel like they're going to stick Maxie with Peter just forever.
Yeah.
Or until some other stuff happens off screen. So
It would have been nice if they had her get together with Chet, Amy's brother. I wish that they had.
I really liked them.
Yeah.
I really liked them. I thought the actor that plays Chet is hot. I like him.
Very.
And he's very Maxie's type, too. Maxie kind of likes her guys. She likes her guys kind of heroic and stuff like that, and also a little edgy. And he was both that because he was a veteran, and, he's definitely has an edge to him and stuff, and I think they would have been a great pairing.
Yeah. Well, and you had talked about the social issues that they kind of just don't do as well as they used to. He's a real life vet amputee. Like, he's an amputee vet, actor and all that. So, like, there would have been, he did a great job with the drug detox and, all of that. But there could have been some redemption there other than him just getting a job at the Floating Rib. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so he wasn't there the night that it blew up.
No.
Good.
He's still alive. He's still out.
You that made it out alive,
So, I really like Amy, and so I would be cool with them playing Chet and Amy as kind of, their brother and sister and playing them as a family.
Right.
Stuff like that. So
they had a really good relationship because she was very much struggling with, everything that he was going through and kind of hiding it. But we miss Amy and Felix. We don't know where they go.
I think we should be seeing Felix soon. Or I think we'll be seeing a lot more in this series because the actor has posted on his Instagram or Twitter that he has been filming and stuff. So I think we're going to be seeing him some more, which is great. And I don't know if I kind of feel like they plan on doing Felix and Lucas now. So that's something they've kind of teased for years and years and never done. So we'll see what happens there. But
it would have been crazy if he had picked Lucas or Felix to begin with. Yeah. It'd be all different now.
Right.
Yeah, it would be. Because I don't think Felix would switch babies.
No. But that I actually kind of understand in the moment that happened. I understand Brad's decision. I would not. I don't think I would have done it either. But I mean, he was grieving. Like there was a lot going on there. Right. It wasn't like he just, you know what? I don't like this kid. Let's go switch. It was.
Yeah. I thought Perry did a really good job with him. I thought that part of the story was very well written because I did feel like horrible for Brad. He has this hot doctor husband. They just got this new baby and he's all happy and stuff. And then this horrible, horrible thing happens.
Right.
And so I did definitely feel sympathy for him. And I think I did probably throughout the whole story because I think they did a good job of showing that he really was struggling with it. And he got some bad advice from Julian and stuff when he did want to tell and stuff. So I was able to feel sorry for him. Now, that story did go on way too long, and I thought the payoffs they provided was not payoff. It was really bad.
Yeah.
So.
And then they just brought him back for one day to have gotten stabbed by somebody from Cyrus's crew.
Yeah. I was so excited to have Britt and Brad back together again, and it just was so short-lived. But hopefully we see him again soon. I do think Perry seems to keep pretty busy and stuff, and I love his social media account. I wish that more actors were like him online because he's a lot of fun and a lot of positive energy and stuff. So
Yeah. We interviewed him and it was so much fun. I mean, he's exactly like that, when you talk to him too. Like he he actually knew a lot about his character, which I think is funny because, and I don't know if you pick up on this too, like not a lot, but like some actors don't know anything about the show, and I mean, he's like, well, yeah, I used to watch and I picked up on this and this and this, it's like he had to get to know the backstory of why his character was important where it is. And so we told him, we're like, we think that you should be reconnecting with your family while you're in prison because he's supposed to be part of the Wu family.
yes.
So we just killed off the Novaks. Let's bring back the Wus.
And I really like the Jeff Kober. I can't remember his name. I really, really like him as an actor and stuff. And I think the Cyrus as Laura's brother's story is very interesting. Mm-hmm. But it's like they really missed an opportunity by not having the Wu family and Brad's family be the mob family they brought in. Because, I mean, here you have this baby switch and kind of this Romeo and Juliet thing that could be set up with Brad and Lucas and stuff where they're still longing for each other, but they have this horrible thing happen and now their families are battling. Right. It would have been awesome. I mean, that would have been a fun story, I think, for people to watch. So, I don't know if maybe that was something they thought about but just couldn't do, but a missed opportunity. I would have really liked that.
That would have been so good.
So since you've watched all the different soaps, why did you pick General Hospital as your one to focus on?
I kind of always liked the ABC soaps a little bit better. I think that's just kind of where I landed. The CBS soaps are really pretty to look at and stuff like that, but especially now the writing's not the best. I mean, we'll just be honest, which is unfortunate because I think that they've had the budget that all of these other soaps haven't had, and they have great actors and stuff like that. But like with Y&R, it's very, very boring. Okay. And with Bold and the Beautiful, it's really messed up with like the sex doll stuff they're doing now and all that. and it's not something where you can really feel like you can get attached to the story because it just is all over the place all the time. And I feel like let's say ABC soaps and stuff like that, they're just more grounded. I really like the actors and the characters involved. And, One Life to Live was my favorite soap. So when that did go off the air, I was one of those people that was kind of like, okay, I'm glad they're going over to General Hospital and stuff. And so I think more people did that than they want to give credit to. Because One Life to Live had high ratings when it went off the air. And some people, I'm sure, just stopped watching soaps altogether when the show went off there, but others moved to other shows. I think a lot of people probably did, and I think that it helped General Hospital because General Hospital would have been canceled right afterwards otherwise. And a miracle happened; they were able to bump the ratings. But yeah, I think it has the actors that I care about the most, and I think that. Even though there are definitely stories I don't like I'm not liking the Sunny story we have right now at all. I can't watch it. I have to fast forward. It's just annoying me. But even though that's happening, there's usually either a character or a couple or some sort of plot line or story that I care about. And I can't say that with some of the other ones. And Days, like I said this online the other day, every time I check out Days of Our Lives, I always pick the wrong day. And it's always something like, and I know it's that I'm picking the wrong day because there's plenty of people out there saying that, hey, I'm enjoying this, and they're telling me what they're enjoying. I'm like, yeah, I would like that too. But I always pick the day where Gabby's trying to murder somebody with her cell phone by clicking an app or something. It's something really bizarre and awful is happening and not in a good way.
Yeah.
And so, and Ron's pretty wild. I mean, I feel like when Ron's doing well and stuff and writes a good story, he writes a good story and he's awesome. But when he doesn't hit it, it goes bad, you know? And so I kind of feel like that's probably the case with Days right now, unfortunately. So hopefully things turn around.
I hope that, I mean, I feel like we've come back well from a couple months off.
Yeah.
You know, it was, so what did you do to fill in your time then?
You know, I binged other shows and stuff.
Okay. Like what?
I'm trying to remember what all I watched. What did I watch? Oh, Lucifer.
Okay.
That's a really good show. And you know, that's a really soapy show.
Mm-hmm.
And not so much in the seasons where it moved over to Netflix and stuff like that, but like in the first couple seasons of it, I guess the main character, the lead actor in it, is a soap opera fan. And so like they had Heather Tom and some other, like Brandon Brash and stuff like that, were guest starring in these episodes. So that was really cool to see.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we watched Night Shift, season 1.
Oh, cool. I have not watched that yet.
It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
You can find, where did you find the DVD?
I got it off eBay. It was like
Okay.
$6 or something like that for the first one. But you can't find the second one anywhere. So you have to watch that on YouTube.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. Because like we do our weekly recap show and we're like, well, what are we going to do on Mondays? So that's what we did on Mondays though.
Cool.
That was fun.
I'll have to check that out because I know a lot of people always say that it was really, really good, but I never got a chance to see it when I was on SelfNet and stuff.
Yeah. Because there was, well, it's funny because like some pretty significant things happened on it that, I mean, it's when Spinelli had his first sexual experience was on Night Shift. And it's like, I don't remember anything ever coming from that on General Hospital, you know, that we even discussed the fact that happened, you know?
Right.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was
a totally different show. Yeah, they didn't intertwine.
There was a few different characters. There's a guy who, his name's Toussaint Dubois. And he is supposed to be related to Felix.
Oh.
Yep.
And he was on Night Shift?
He was on Night Shift, yep.
You know, they should bring him on to General Hospital. That would be really cool.
They sure should.
If they did that, you know.
Yeah.
I know that we don't see Felix very much and stuff like that, but, you know, I remember we had Felix's sister there for a hot minute and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it's kind of cool they have that tie there. It'd be really fun just to even, like, bring him in for just a few episodes or something.
Right. Well, and then we had an entire theory about Dev because on the second season of Night Shift, Jagger came back and he had a 7-year-old son named Stone. And so we were thinking that this Stone is Jagger and Brenda's, and then we don't know what happened to them. Somehow he became Dev and wound up in Turkey alone.
Right. They could have done that. I mean, you know, that would have been they had no idea what to do with Dev, and that would have been an interesting story.
Yeah, because then we could have brought back Jagger and Brenda, and then we could have had the conflict of Brenda, Sunny, Carly thing for a minute.
Right.
You know, I'll probably get people after me, but I think Brenda's the only thing that can really make Sunny interesting. You know, I just, you know, I'm not, and nothing against the actors, you know, it is what it is, but I don't really see the kind of soulmate type energy between Carly and Sunny right now. And so, and that's kind of part of what I'm not liking about this whole amnesia assumed dead story is that I have to watch Carly try to long for him when I don't feel like they actually feel that way about each other and stuff. I mean, it just always feels like, okay, they're married, they have kids, you know, they're settled in their mobster life. But if Brenda came back, he would ditch her in a moment, you know. That's just kind of the way it hangs over to me. So it's hard for me to look at them as this awesome forever couple, you know.
Yeah.
But
Well, because you said that you're fast forwarding through all the Sunny stuff right now. Did you pay attention to Friday though?
I did.
Okay. So they brought in a little bit of stuff.
Yeah.
But
I kind of they're obviously just they're copying, stories from A Life to Live and other shows here, and I think it's a bit of an odd fit for Sunny. And I think it's really boring right now, but Lenny and Phyllis, I'm kind of just like not really connecting with too much, but I did kind of think, I was thinking this today. It's weird that they haven't gone out there to try and find out who Mike is and stuff. But what if Phyllis knows? Lenny doesn't, but she knows.
Oh, that would be
because she was in Port Charles.
Mm-hmm.
She knows who Nell is. She was the nurse that gave Nell away. So what if Phyllis is in contact with Nell and she knows who Sonny is, and that's why they aren't going out there looking for who he is, because she already knows. And that's why she's not saying, they're not
what
saying
if she's not as sweet as we think she is?
Yeah, and that's why she's defending him to Lenny and stuff, and like, oh, he's acting weird, because she knows why Sonny's acting weird, because she knows. I mean, what if that's what's going on? Because that would be an interesting twist.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's where it's going. That's just my mind running wild, but
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So do you still write for TV Magazine?
No, I have my own blog. It's
okay.
Yeah, it's diagnosisdaytime.com. So
that's your full time, like what you focus on and everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I was going to ask, I'm like, how were you? Well, I guess you were still a fan of shows while you were working for TV Magazine. Like, how did you keep from? You had to separate being a fan and being professional about your opinions and writing and everything. So I was just, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, how did you juggle that?
Sometimes it was hard, but a lot of times when I'd write something, I'd write it up, just put my feelings and stuff out there. And then I'd step away for a while and then come back, read it and read it from somebody and be like, okay, pretend that you're just the reader reading it, that you're just the fan reading it,
right.
And try to look at it from their perspective, because like, if I say this, do they know what I'm talking about and what I mean? And is it going to kind of sound too harsh or something because they don't know what's coming next, or, they don't know that I know this about this actor or this, or, writer or something like that. So I think, I kind of feel like, it's hard to kind of get out of your bubble a little bit. And I feel like just with a lot of the press and stuff that writes soaps, it's a little difficult. And also just the writers themselves and people involved in soaps, is that you have to remember that there's an outside audience.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always try to keep that in mind and stuff. And like, if I were a fan reading this, how would I feel and what would I think this means and stuff? And it could be difficult sometimes, but I try. So hopefully I do an okay job.
You were suggested to us by one of our fans. And
cool.
I was like, okay, I'll check her out. And you seem to do the same thing that we do. Like, we don't really take sides. Like, we definitely have our opinions about things, but like, we don't do ship wars. We don't do, stuff like that. Like, we don't get all route. We love the show.
Mm-hmm.
Of course we get annoyed with great many things.
Yes.
But I feel like that's part of being a soap fan, is you're like, why are they doing this? But
the people that say they like everything on this show and it's all perfect and stuff like that, I mean, that's very fake. I mean, I hate to call people out, but there's always going to be something that's it's just like that in life where there's just going to be stuff you like better and stuff you don't, and stuff where you think they could improve upon, and that's okay. It's okay not to like everything, and it doesn't mean that you're going to harm the show or anything or hurt anybody by saying, hey, I don't like this storyline. But I do think you have to be respectful when you do it and stuff. Like, like I've said before, I think I said maybe earlier in the podcast, I'm not particularly a Jason fan, but I wrote an article where it's like, hey, the way they're writing them isn't good and stuff like that. And, I think I did a pretty good job of being respectful of the fact that they do have fans and that their fans are disappointed, and it's too bad the fans are disappointed. And so I think it's just, a lot of times you have to just look at it from the perspective of, how is this going to look for the fans? So
Right.
I feel like I went on a little bit on that.
No, but that's exactly right. Like, you can have an opinion about something without being mean or
Right.
Yes, I really hate it where, and there aren't a lot of people like this. I think most soap fans are actually really nice and stuff like that. I think there's just some people that are very loud, but I always hate it when you have people that are overly crude when they criticize and stuff like that, or make it really personal about the actors, or just kind of try to push buttons. And I hate the fan war stuff. I really think that anybody that tries to provoke that now is just being an awful person, quite honestly, because especially with the whole Liaison versus Jason thing. Well, for starters, both those couples are now officially dead, so nobody should be arguing about them anymore. And second of all, it's like, you have these women arguing with each other and saying horrible things about these actresses they don't know. And both actresses have gotten death threats and called horrible stuff. And, and it's just like, that's not fun. That's not a decent way to act as a human being. It doesn't, I think it actually takes away from the soap experience and stuff like that. I don't think it's done General Hospital any good. I think there's some people that believe, it's giving the show buzz. It's like, no, it's not, because all those people that are arguing and calling each other names and stuff like that are only watching clips on YouTube. They're not giving the show any generation, any ratings or money or anything like that. It's just what you're doing is you're just creating this horrible hospital environment for the actors,
Right.
So.
Yeah, and they should not be getting death threats over TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not okay. Like, that's...
Yeah. I said this to somebody in private earlier and stuff like that, and this is nothing against any actors or anything like that, but I said it's very odd to me that how passionless Jason has generated such passion from some crazy people. Because I feel like it really isn't so much about what they love about the characters anymore as just fighting and trying to win this ridiculous battle. So,
and they're reading what they're given.
Right.
It's not like they're writing their script saying, this is what we get to do.
Yeah. So.
Hit me. Have you met any of the actors? Do you have a favorite that you've got to interact with?
I've met quite a few of the actors just through fan events and stuff like that. My favorite, which I'm sure a lot of people could probably just see by looking at my social medias, I'm a big fan of Roger Howarth, and he's been really fun to meet a few times because, there's this misconception about him because he is introverted and he is soft-spoken and stuff like that. He's not, probably as sociable as and out there as some of these other actors that a lot of people think, he's exactly like his character. I feel like with him, for some reason in particular, there's people that aren't able to divide the real versus, REEL, real,
right.
with him. But the first time I met him, I was a big fan and stuff like that. But it was a different experience because he was completely different than what I was imagining. He's actually soft-spoken. He doesn't talk or sound at all like Todd or like Franco or anything like that. He's basically just this New York hipster dude, who likes sports and, talks about his kids and stuff like that. And he has some really fun, interesting stories to tell. He's very smart and philosophical in how he talks, and it's nothing like his character at all. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of fun when you meet actors like that, and there's kind of that nice little reveal. So I really enjoyed meeting him and stuff. And let's see, some of the veteran actors like Ken is really fun because he has so many fun stories to tell from back in the heyday and everything. So he's always fun. And Lynn was really fun to meet. She was very sweet and stuff. I really enjoyed her. Wally he's got a really nice personality. He's just very down to earth and stuff and personable and stuff. So I really enjoyed meeting him. And, I have to say that I think maybe with the exception of 2 actors, which I won't name, I've had a good experience with everybody and stuff. I think a lot of these actors are really nice people and stuff and very genuine. And I think it's really fun to kind of get out there and talk to them and everything.
So if we had been able to keep the characters from One Life to Live, because that would have been awesome, would you have wanted Todd and Carly to continue and ride off into the sunset and everything? I loved them together.
That was the thing that hurt the most when Prospect Park came in there and messed things up and took the characters back and then totally bombed and went under, So it was a waste, was that we didn't get Todd and Carly anymore. That was like the worst part of it. Because McBain was okay, and I did think that
my boyfriend.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, but you're fine. You're totally fine.
I was fine with him there, but wasn't heartbroken or anything like that. And like Star and Michael, I think that was probably Michael's last really good pairing. Mm-hmm. They were cute, but the thing that hurt the most was losing the Todd and Carly pairing, I think. And I remember for their 50th anniversary, Laura Wright was talking to, I think it was a 2020 special or something they did, and she was saying that how awesome it was that, at 40 and stuff like that she was also a part of this booming super couple and stuff like that. And I'm sure it was just a complete disappointment for her and stuff. But it was kind of really cool to have like this crossover type pairing, like these 2 big characters and stars from these 2 separate soaps and these 2 kind of worlds colliding for it to work. And they had such great chemistry and stuff like that. I even liked Franco and Carly, which I know is wrong. I was okay when they ended because I knew it was wrong, but they had such great chemistry and stuff like that. And it would have been really cool to see more happen there. But
I really liked McBain and Sam. I thought that they were good.
Did you like Silas and Sam?
Mm-hmm.
See, I liked McBain and Sam a lot. I really, really liked them. They weren't Todd and Carly, but I really liked them. But I had a real hard time with Silas and Sam. I don't know. I didn't like Silas, but it's okay because neither does the actor.
Right.
I hated Silas so much, and I was so happy when I found out that Michael Easton too.
My husband, and he'll see Finn. He's like, all right, is he a vampire today? Is he a doctor? Is he a cop? Like, what's he doing? I'm like, he's still a doctor. Don't worry.
Yeah, I like Finn. I call him Hammy, which funny story, but apparently, I like to just be kind of goofy and stuff when I'm tweeting and stuff, and so I call him Hammy all the time because he's Hamilton Finn. Mm-hmm. Well, Michael Easton, I guess, said that Frank had told him that they're calling you Hammy online. He thought we were making fun of his acting. Poor guy. And I'm like, no, that's your name. You're Hamilton Finn. And I think he forgot his first name was Hamilton.
You hurt Michael Easton's feelings. I love those people.
It's okay.
Oh, that's so cute, though. Well, somebody just commented on our podcast and said, have you noticed that Justin Timberlake's kids' names are Phineas and Silas? Maybe he's a Michael Easton fan. And I'm like, oh, yeah, but Finn's his last name and Finn is Finn, not Phineas. Mm-hmm. But I hadn't thought about that. I was like, but I guess if you like the name, then you could just go into Phineas. Right?
Maybe he is. It's kind of like, I think they still do, but I know back in the day they got like a ton of fans that were like athletes because they'd be watching them during the day and day before their games and stuff, and like while they're on their road trips and stuff, going from city to city. Because I think is it Shaq? I think said he would used to schedule stuff around all my children and stuff.
Uh-huh. So there's a lot of there's a lot of closet soap opera fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Like online, I'll be just like looking around and also like, I think, the voice actor that does Linda Belcher on Bob's Burger the other day tweeted they were watching General Hospital. I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, we really covered a lot. I'm like, I don't think I really have any other questions. Is there anything else that you want to talk about with the show, or you want to tell us where we can find you and everything so people can follow you and start reading your...
My Twitter is @SoapJenn, and I haven't been doing it quite as often, but a lot of times I like to live tweet and stuff, so definitely feel free to jump in there with me sometimes. And then my website is diagnosisdaytime.com, and the Twitter account for the website is DT Daytime. So is that right? No, it's Diagnosis DT. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, that's awesome. And they're both great. Well, have a great rest of your day, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
You too. Thank you for having me on.
Our pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
She was so sweet. She had some really, really good insight and ideas, you know. I feel like we got one semi-spoiler, but it could always be changed, so...
Right, you never know what's going to happen.
Right.
I liked when she was talking about the One Life to Live stuff, because I watched then, and I was like, oh, I forgot about that, yes.
Well, why didn't you talk more about it?
Because we were talking about GH stuff, but it was good.
Guys, write in that Amanda can talk more during her interviews.
Goodness, I don't need to talk more. She covered everything.
She really did, though. Yeah.
She knew what she was talking about.
It's almost like she writes about...
You think?
Maybe. But yeah, so just be sure to check her out on... So the website is, again, Diagnosis Daytime. And on Twitter, I'm going to double check it, because she said it was one of the two.
Right, she corrected herself.
But let's just make sure, because I correct myself sometimes. And I was correct the first time. Yep, Diagnosis DT. And then she's also on there as Soap Jenn, JENN. So
check her out.
Yeah. She's really good because it's very, if you're a fan of the show.
Right.
You know, if you're looking for just some other insight, you know, and this is why I love talking to other fans, because we get good stuff off of each other.
Right.
There are thousands of other people out there that might have other ideas.
Yes, just a little.
It's awesome. So if you would like to talk to us and share, if you just want to talk about General Hospital, you know, you don't necessarily have to have like a Twitter account or anything like that.
No, just share the love of the soap.
Yeah, exactly. So that's it for this week. We will catch up with you on Monday as we talk about this week's shows.
Have a good weekend.
And we'll meet you at the pier.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show, we invite you to go to peer54podcast.com to subscribe on your favorite platform. Don't forget to leave us a review.
And you can also follow us on many social media channels. Just search for Peer 54 Podcast. Also, we are not perfect, so if there is something that we missed or messed up, just let us know by emailing us at peer54podcast@gmail.com.